All right, let's go on to part 2 of functions. We're going to look at inverse functions. With inverse functions, all you do is switch the x's and y's. Now, one question that a lot of people will ask before you ever deal with inverse functions is the initial function, the original function, one-to-one? Well, let's look at the t-chart here. I can tell it's a function because every x goes with 1 and only one y. See, January only goes to 45 degrees. March only to 68 degrees. May only to 74. July only to 95. And September only to 81. The question, though, is the function one-to-one? Well, that means every y comes from only one x. So 45 doesn't come from any month but January. 68 doesn't come from any month but March. 74 doesn't come from any month but May. 95 doesn't come from any month but July. And 81 only comes from September. So is the function one-to-one? The answer is yes. Let me see if I can write this in here. I'm trying a new technology, which I'm not real good at yet, you can see. So, yes, the function's one-to-one. Even if it's not, I could still do the inverse. I just wouldn't say it's an inverse function. So now, make a t-chart of the inverse. Well, that's easy, guys. I'm going to put the temps on the x side of the table now, and I'm going to put the month on the y side of the table now. So instead of putting January 45, I'm going to reverse it and make it 45 January. And then I'll have 68 March. I'll have 74 May. I'll have 95 July, and I'll have 81 September. Forgive me for the writing being crazy looking. Again, though, I'm trying a new technology to try to make it a little easier. All right, we're going to do another one similar. Now, the blue table of values is a function because Feather is only listed as teaching English. Kessler is only listed as teaching math. Waters is only listed as PE, Kate only as math, Harris only as science. Harris, for instance, is not listed as teaching both math and science, so it is a function. But is it a one-to-one function? We'll go backward. Is English only taught by Feather? Yes, no other teacher is listed for English. Is math only listed for Kessler? Nope. Math is also listed for Kate. So is it one-to-one? No. Now, that's important because the EOC asks you. That's about all you'll basically use it for right now. But the big deal is functions that aren't one-to-one will have inverses, but the inverses won't be functions. So when I say make a t-chart of the inverse function, I can't, but I can make the t-chart of an inverse. It just won't be a function. So all I have to do is reverse it to subject on the left or x side of the t-chart, teacher on the y side. So I'm going to say for English, the only teacher I have is Feather. For math, I have Kessler. I'm going to abbreviate. No, I'm not. I'll go ahead and write it out. And for math, I also have Kate. See, that's why the inverse is not a function, because now math is an x, and that x goes to two different y's. For PE, I will only list Waters. And for science, I'll only list Harris. So I can do an inverse, it's just the inverse isn't a function. Now, let's look at this idea of reversing the x's and y's when you're talking about points on the graph. So let's evaluate f of 4. F of 4 is 2 times 4, which is 8, 8 minus 1, which is 7. That means that the x value 4 and the y value 7, remember 4 is an x because that's what I plugged in, 7 is a y because that's what I got. It is on the graph of f of x. Now f of x is the original function. This f to the negative 1 of x, you say f inverse of x. So this is the way I list the inverse. I know for inverses I switch x's and y's, so that means 7 comma 4, look, my x and y just swap places, is on the inverse, the f inverse of x. So now 7 on the inverse is my x, 4 on the inverse is my y. So f inverse of 7 is 4. Can I find f inverse of 11? This is a common kind of question. So I'm going to say, well, I don't know what f inverse of f inverse of 11 is. But what I do know then is 11 comma I don't know is on f inverse of x. That means the missing number comma 11 is on f of x. Okay, now wait a minute. What that means is that f of your question mark equals 2x minus 1 equals 11. All right? So wait, if 2x minus 1 equals 11, 2x equals 11 plus 1, x equals 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So I just found out, I'm going to go over this so you can see how I'm going to work backward now. That means f of 6, which is 2 times 6 minus 1 equals 11. You see how I did that? 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 1 is 11. That means 6 comma 11 must have been on f of x, which means 11 comma 6 must have been on f inverse of x. So f inverse of 11 must be 6. That's a little bit tougher problem, but it's a common one. Now on this one, I'm going to go back to using black. h of 4 means the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. That means 4 comma 2 is on the original h of x. So the point 2 comma 4 is on the inverse h to the negative 1 of x. We call that h inverse of x. So now if 2 is your x value for the inverse, 4 becomes your y value. Now we're going to do one more thing before we stop this little video. I want to know if the functions I'm picturing are one-to-one. Well, this is normally the way we talk about one-to-one. One-to-one means that the graph that you've got passes a horizontal line test. So I'm going to do what I did yesterday, and I'm going to get a highlighter, and I'm going to make it pink. And I'm going to use my straight line tool, and I'm going to make it real skinny. This time I'm going to work with a horizontal line. Now look, I can do this to all of them at once. As I pull the horizontal line up, look at the left one first. Do you see my horizontal line is only touching my blue line at one point all the way up? So the blue passes the horizontal line test. So I'll say passes HLT. So the blue line is 1 to 1. This is the more common question for 1 to 1 right here. Now, I'm going to take my pink line down this time. Watch it go down. Oh, look. I'm going down the parabola right now. Do you see that that pink highlight line is touching the parabola here and here? Therefore, my parabola fails the horizontal line test. Now, all of these are functions, guys. They all pass the vertical, but we're trying to see, is each function 1-to-1 function, not a regular function, but a 1-to-1 function. So the parabola is a function, but it fails the horizontal line test. So it is not 1-to-1. It's still a function. It's just not what we'd call a 1-to-1 function. Now look at the exponential growth graph on the right-hand side. See how I'm taking the horizontal line up and down it? Every time my pink horizontal line is only touching one spot on the blue graph. So again, my blue graph passes, my blue exponential growth graph passes the horizontal line test. So it is 1-to-1. Okay, we're going to stop this video so that you can now do the next little portion of A 11.2.